Welcome to the WazaMedia podcast. WazaMedia is a digital marketing agency that believes in the power of storytelling. We show businesses and individuals how to communicate with laser focused in a media saturated world. My name is JR. I am joined today by Andrew. Hey, Andrew, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here. And we also believe in the power of coffee.
Yes. Yes, I got my espresso today.
For those only listening, I wanted to make sure to give a clear, audible sip.
Maybe next time we
Maybe
need to
next
do an
time.
ASMR of just us sipping coffee. That might be content for another episode.
The whole episode.
The whole episode. Speaking
You
of
know, I
episode,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you reminded me. So the Rhett and Link, some guys that if you're on YouTube at all, you know who they are. But not to downput anybody that don't know who they are. But they did a whole episode of their show, their Good Mythical Morning show, of them just like not talking. They would just clear their throat, take a sip of coffee, maybe shuffle the papers, maybe twiddle with something. But they just wanted to see how their audience would react by doing it. And so this was like 10, 15 minutes of them just kind of,
Wow.
yeah. And
I'm
not
sure
going
if
to
you
lie,
get
I
some
watched
good,
it for quite a while going, when's the moment? When's the, because it felt like there was going to be a moment where they did something. Nope.
I'm sure with
Oh,
some
actually,
noise
the moment
canceling
was
headphones, you could just immerse yourself in that whole experience.
exactly the only speaking they did was then they suddenly did their outro and it ended.
Caught everyone by surprise.
Yeah. But anyways, enough about their episode. What's happening on ours?
So today on this episode, we're starting a two-part series. We're going to be discussing a Forbes article that addresses digital marketing trends for 2021. And so if you're on our video series, I'm going to put the link to that. If you're watching this on YouTube, we will put the link in the description below. But for our listeners, we're going to be talking about this so you can follow along. So in 2020, overall, we saw a lot of trends in digital marketing, anywhere from ads to social media, website design. And overall, as an agency, we are looking forward to 2021 to see what it has in store. And we are looking to help our clients pivot their digital marketing strategies for their businesses. As we know, 2020 has really challenged a lot of businesses in how the way we communicate. And 2021 will really show how well our strategies are going, the tactics, and what's coming up next. So, Andrew, I'm gonna start with the first one. The first thing that this Forbes article talks about is that digital businesses, the pivots that digital businesses had to do may become permanent. As the way we communicated in 2020, how that changed, the things that they had to do may be the way of the future. There's this quote from the article. It says, businesses have to enrich the user experience based on your social profiles by leveraging shop and other features that break down barriers towards purchasing from you. And Andrew, I think this has to do with building that customer relationship in a virtual space. The things that I've seen in 2020 to 2021 for this year, there's going to be more virtual interactions. That's going to be probably the main way how businesses are going to continue to build those relationships with their customers. Things that I've seen, there are more YouTube channels up. There's probably, I've seen a couple new businesses that have made apps so that way they can directly connect with their audience. And the other thing that I've seen a lot is businesses using text to directly interact with their customers using text platforms. Community is one of them, where you build a text platform to directly mass text your audience and your customer base. So I feel that these things are going to continue on in this year.
I think for good and for bad as well. I think, and that brings up an important question: is are the things that had to take place due to COVID and just the environment we've been in. I think it's brought up some things that are important to continue. Not just important, but like they work better, so it should continue. Some things were just band-aids and they're not better. And as we hopefully all are able to get back to some sense of normalcy in the coming year, I'm not even going to put a predictor about how long that might be, but we'll all get back to a new set of normal. And not all things, in my opinion, need to continue. And what that really comes down to is relationship. What level of relationship is needed for the interaction? And so that's why I think a lot of businesses have found it's like, oh, we actually, just to talk about this simple, business proposal or the job coming up, we don't need to be across from each other for that. But if you're talking about a long-term working relationship, and high dollar year, that's just an example where you might want to make a way to have one or two in person for that level of relationship. Case in point with you and I don't think we could have just started up this podcast virtually like we are without first having a foundation of face-to-face interaction and relationship. And so I just thought I'd put that out there for folks, as they're evaluating their businesses, the things that they've had to change is ask what is working better and what things need to go back to the way they were as safety allows in time. So because it's not better, it's just a band-aid.
That's right. And we are hoping that things get better for all of us. And in time, we are really hoping that we do get to do some more in-person stuff.
So what are some things that you've seen, GR, that you think that this push to online has actually made an interaction better, made things work better in some cases?
One thing that I've seen is international conferences becoming easier for people to get together. How conferences usually were done prior to the pandemic, where people would fly to a physical conference and you would have to share information in person. Sometimes the business or the conference would share things online after the event. But now with travel being restricted and health concerns that are out there, I've seen conferences where people from different time zones from all over the world can get together on an online format and share their information in real time. And that is different from the business model in which physical in-person conferences are. But now information can be shared across the world in real time. We've had the technology. We've had Zoom or a version of Zoom or a web conferencing platform. But now in the last year, it's been the norm for sharing information in 2020. And I think this is going to continue to go on in 2021.
Yes, perhaps. I will say, so I was part of a conference. It was middle of not this year. This year just started. Middle of 2020. That it was just that. It was like some information needed to get passed and like shared from different points of view, and an opportunity for question and answers and all of that. And just to keep things moving forward, they met online, and it was great. It did just that. But after, I know there was follow-up meetings that highlighted that the original plan pre-COVID was to do what we did via the Zoom conference, but it also was supposed to have a relationship building component to establish better unity of the team. And it was deemed that didn't accomplish that piece of it per se. And so the plan is towards the end to reevaluate towards the end of 2021 I know that team is intending to come together physically, if just to hit that one point, because they know unity is extremely important too. But I will say that it did accomplish a large portion of what we needed to get done.
That's awesome. Just adapting and overcoming, just in the current state of things. Andrew, I want to move to
Absolutely.
the next item this Forbes article has, and this Forbes article talks that social media will become a top channel for purchase instead of just discovery. And I'm gonna briefly summarize what this article says on this point. For this article says that social media platforms like Facebook are making it easier for consumers to go from discovery to purchase without ever having to leave the platform. And Andrew, I think this has to go with trying to limit the amount of steps it takes for your customer to see what they want to buy and purchase. And so some trends that we've seen in the last year with Instagram, and I actually hate the new platform, the new AI in which they've changed this one button in the bottom right corner where I used to get my notifications, and they've changed it where it's to purchase. It's the buying place. But now Instagram is now a great place if you're trying to sell, do e-commerce, you're trying to sell products. You can sell directly through your customers on social. So you're
Absolutely. And
sharing.
if you hear me typing, it's because I was looking up something. But yeah, keep summarizing.
And now you've limited amount the steps for your customer to see you. Your customers are on Instagram. They're seeing your awesome images of your products, or you're doing Instagram reel of someone of an influencer that you hired to promote your product, and now they want to buy it instead of having to go to your website and going to either PayPal or Stripe. Your customers can go directly through the Instagram app and buy in less steps. So it's not a hindrance, it's not a hassle, and your customers get the product they need within the same app. So reducing the amount of steps, reducing the amount, all of this, what customers may feel as a headache in order to get your product, is going to be reduced by using platforms such as this.
Yeah. And I don't know, did you happen to notice the big move that Facebook made to try to get people more comfortable doing e-commerce on their platform? They
I'm,
do you know?
I'm excited for that. That's going to make it easier for businesses to just to sell on a platform
Well,
where a large variety of people will be there.
specifically they spent billions. I mean, I don't know if it was billions, but it was definitely in the millions, because I think since like May or June they've been offering free shipping on their marketplace. Free shipping on I think up to even like 20, 25, 30 pound items have been free for sellers. The catch is that the buyer has to purchase through Facebook purchase platform. And so it's been my observation that Facebook had struggled to get people to feel comfortable paying for things through their system. And so they were like, well, let's, let's get a huge adoption rate by offering free shipping. And well, I tell you, it worked for
Maybe
me. I sold a few items that I wouldn't have sold that way had they not offered free shipping.
maybe that's where I need to look for my bass guitars on Facebook Marketplace to get with the free shipping too.
Absolutely. Well, and it was a huge. I don't know how many people have taken advantage of it. I told some friends of mine who have a small e-commerce site, and told them, and then I had to remind them again. It's like, guys, you're missing out on free shipping. You know, sell and ship through Facebook right now, because at least for while it's free. If you don't end up liking it for the future, fine. But because that's a great way to build up a customer base, is to offer free shipping if you can afford it.
It's amazing how something as free shipping will be the deal breaker for certain customers whether they want to make the purchase or not. But it is a trend, and it is something to note. And companies such as Amazon have greatly taken advantage of it, and now Facebook.
Yep. Yep. I don't know how long they're gonna do it. I was trying to find that out. That's what I was searching. Um, because I mean that's got to be super expensive for Facebook. I mean they've got the cash, I'm sure, but just eventually they're going to plug that or cancel that in favor of their own profits.
Andrew, the last point I want to just for this episode and for our listeners, we're going to continue part two um, in the next episode. But for the last point for this one, the Forbes article talks about that informed buyers will want to buy from informed brands, and this one quote from the article says, "This means that evolving beyond the age of personalization and entering an age of personal commerce where consumers co-curate their experiences with brands to reflect their preferences at any given moment." And I think we're seeing these already with our platforms
Mm-hmm.
that are out there. We know that Facebook and Instagram, they cater to with the information that we put in, they put relevant ads so they know what to target uh, for us. But the next thing I believe that's going to come in more is as you have more influencers are out there who are having their brands and doing their videos about tech and they're doing about beauty products. I think those are going to populate more and be able to show up on ads so that when you're buying ads, you can reach out directly to an audience that already caters to what the interest is. So I think there's going to be more interaction that way to build the relationship and then build um, the next step is to buy whatever product you want next.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that kind of tailoring that just makes marketing even better. It's like, and we've come a long way for marketing. And I think that trend is continuing, where you just used to have to blast something out on a television channel, not really aware of who's watching when, to newspapers or radio. That was just this big blast. You could kind of adjust the timing, but boy, it was, I guess, vague targeting. But now we can get real specific, and it's pretty neat to see how that is continuing. The only problem, and I was just going to put this out there just to real talk, is that means these sites are gathering more and more of our information. And I just say that not as like I say it's bad or it's good. It's just like people should know and know what you're paying because with Facebook we actually do pay for that service. If you want to think of it that way, we pay with our data, but we are paying. It's not free.
That is true. One thing I want to bring up when you mentioned with data can help us with better decision making. A couple years ago, I was looking up some stuff for billboards, um, the stuff that you see on the side of the roads or on the freeway, where you would have a big sign up, and was doing some stuff for doing some research about how much does it cost to get something on there on the side of the road, and it was a couple $1,000s depending on location. Of course, location. If you're in a high traffic area, it'll cost more because you'll get more eyes on it. But if you want it lit at night, you got to pay more. Or if you don't want the electricity on, because that's an extra cost. And so, but you never really get a true number of how many people will see it. You'll get estimates based off of what the company says, your highly popular area. But using these e-commerce platforms, these social media sites, and doing ads, you will get real-time information and specific information about what you're doing, and you can dive down into demographics. Do you want to target, age ranges, male, female? Do you want to target by if they do sports? If you want to go dive deeper, they play basketball versus baseball versus soccer. You can get very granular with the target audience that you want to reach, depending on what you're trying to sell or what your service is.
Absolutely. And and it's not to say that the like billboard style marketing is bad in every single case. It's just that for a lot of companies, they think too traditionally with their advertising, and there's better ways to target. case in point, like a billboard is just if you just want a mass awareness, tons of people to be aware of your brand or aware of the your nonprofit, and just enough that people go, sure, billboard. But if you really want to kind of get a specific audience, it's not the way to go. Though I
I
bet like
remember
big highways billboards are still quite expensive, like you just highlighted. Was that $2,000 a day, or what was that?
it was on a month. It was a
Okay.
month. It was in the thousands for a month to keep your ad up. So pre-pandemic, I remember reading with the USPS, the Postal Service here in America, that the open rate or the response rates for any direct mail was either 1 to 2%. So now
Mm.
that everyone is staying at home, I haven't seen the updated numbers, but I could, with everyone staying at home and everyone receiving mail, I would think that there would be a higher response because everyone is actually checking their mail these days and getting their packages from whatever Amazon or anything. So I would like to see that the USPS put on an updated study about what snail mail response rates are these days.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be curious to know too. And like, I don't know, I would question whether or not a direct mailer, like all by yourself, meaning your own thing, versus like just being part of a larger pamphlet, because I'm only speaking from my own like experience and intuition, is that if I see one of those booklets, like magazine style, like of bunch of restaurants, bunch of companies, just a ton of things. That's information overload, and that's the first thing to go. Whereas, like, if I were to get like one postcard, simple, easy to read, tell me what you got, I'll glance at that. I'll give it a fair shake, but I don't even open the other one. So to me, it's like if you're paying a publisher to be in an insert or just part of a bigger pamphlet, I think that's a no go unless you're, I would say, targeting an older demographic.
Well, Andrew, I think this wraps up our first part of this two-part series. We're going to continue this conversation and the items in which this Forbes article thinks that will be trends for digital marketing in 2021 in the next episode. Thanks for watching our video. If you want to learn more about WazaMedia, go to our main channel over here. And if you want to see more podcast episodes, go over here. See you next time.